Good morning. Today is a great day to talk about Hyperliquid. Just like any other day, there's still a lot of confusion around Hyperliquid, and I want to end this today. So let's talk about what is Hyperliquid, the HyperCore and the HyperEVM, the buyback and the burn mechanism, different tools I use to look at Hyperliquid data. Then, of course, we have to talk about the builder codes and the core writer, and also the HIP3 and what it means for Hyperliquid's future. And at the end, I want to talk about the public vehicles that bid on Hype, and of course, also some critics and FUD. So let's get started with the first question. What is Hyperliquid? Hyperliquid, you can see it here, is the blockchain to house all finance. What does this actually mean? It means we have one place where you can do everything on chain. It started with its main product, which is the flagship application, the premier decentralized exchange, Hyperliquid. You can trade on there different perps. I think right now we are over 100 different perp pairs you can trade there with up to 40x leverage, low fees. It's transparent since it's a fully on-chain order book, which is quite innovative by itself, because in the past we had a lot of so-called decentralized exchanges, but some of them still had off-chain order execution. So Hyperliquid doesn't do that. All of it is fully on-chain. You can see all the orders, and it's seamless. It's one-click trading. And what you see here, like the trading platform by itself, is now called HyperCore. So we have Hyperliquid, which is basically the project, but now we have two parts to it. One is HyperCore, which consists of the perp DEX and also, of course, the spot market on this perp DEX, and also the vaults and the staking. So there are four components to this HyperCore right now. And then we have the HyperEVM, where we can do a lot of other stuff. But let's keep talking about the HyperCore for a second. And you see here the Hyperliquid stack. A lot of this already has been implemented, but still some other stuff is coming. So we are still early if you now hearing about Hyperliquid for the first time. So Hyperliquid got a lot of traction initially, and still gets a lot of traction. We are at around 20 billion in daily volume traded on Hyperliquid, which is insane. To put this into perspective, we have here the data from CoinGecko. Binance does right now 116 billion in volume. Bybit does 44 billion. BitGet does 52 billion in daily volume. And Hyperliquid does 20. Right now we are here at 14. So the number, of course, fluctuates. We are up to 1/3 of Bybit and BitGet, and like 10-15% of Binance. So we are getting there. It's really interesting to see. We have max TPS of 200k transactions per second. This will be really important down the road with all the other applications coming to Hyperliquid, building on top of Hyperliquid. And Hyperliquid also has 700k users. This is total user number, not daily active user number, of course. But you have to know that there are enough users, otherwise we won't have this kind of volume. And the block time is 0.07 seconds. This in itself is impressive, but the unique or the special thing about it, why I want to mention it, is for starters, it got halved like a few weeks ago, but not the halving itself was interesting, but in the way they did it, because it tells you a lot about the team and how they operate. So other teams would do like this big release and announcements, but Hyperliquid just works differently. There's Jeff, which is the founder, and 9 other people. So it's about 10 people running the show. And if there's a big update, there's normally just a short Discord message, and they say, yo, we just halved the block time, or block time will be halved on this time when we do maintenance update. And so it's crazy to operate that way, because you can just do things. You don't have to talk about them. You do things, and then you just show the people what you did. And this is quite unique in crypto, I would say, and really nice to see. And this is also why I and other guys talk so much about Hyperliquid, because if we don't do that, if the community doesn't share those kind of updates, nobody will know this time, because the team itself doesn't do that much marketing, so they don't have a marketing department and they don't need it. They focus on the product and make it the best it can be, and enable other builders, and let the community run the marketing. Here you can see it, community first. There are no investors, no paid marketers, no fees to any company. And this is great news. For some of you, this might be bad news for others. Don't come into this ecosystem with the intent to extract. It won't fly. You can build a lot of great products on top of Hyperliquid, and it's easier to build on Hyperliquid than any other chain. But be aware that we have a quite high bullshit detector, I would say. So don't come here with some expectation to don't push and don't do anything meaningful and get a lot of funding or something. That doesn't work here. Community first. Also why I do this video. Let's keep going. So we have the HyperCore I quickly mentioned, and we can do the perp trading on there with over 100 markets. But we also can do spot trading on there, which is interesting because if you have Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Fiatcoin, or Pump, you can deposit that to your HyperCore wallet and trade spot those assets. And the beauty of Hyperliquid, and thanks to Unit, is that right now Hyperliquid is the best place to trade those spot assets. You won't have any other place where it's that cheap and that easy. So you simply deposit your asset, and if you are done trading, if you are done with whatever you want to do on the platform, you simply withdraw it. So even if you say, okay, I don't have any interest in perp trading, Hyperliquid is still interesting for you, since it's the best and easiest way to buy Bitcoin spot and just withdraw it to like a cold storage, like a ledger. So Unit, super great product. And also important to mention that Unit is not run by the HyperCore team. Has been some confusion in the past. It's not run by the HyperCore team, but again, it shows at the HyperCore team, the Hyperliquid team, they focus on enabling builders. So they didn't launch the spot markets for Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, Fiatcoin, and Pump, but let Unit do that. Unit made a good amount of fees since they launched, and we're gonna talk about that later. But basically, they do the spot markets. Hyperliquid core team, they focus on making the core product better. They don't need to do anything themselves, which is really important, not just like from the workload perspective, but also for like the future perspective, because one team, like for the big vision, they have this becoming the house of all finance, like you see here on the website, the blockchain to house all finance. They won't achieve this vision by themselves. They need to enable a lot of builders, and Jeff, the founder of Hyperliquid, has been quite outspoken about that in his recent interviews. Like the way to build the biggest crypto company in the world, blockchain to household finance, is not by having 1,000 or 10,000 employees, but by being like 10 people and enable 10 or thousands and 10,000 other people to build on your platform, which they do. So HyperCore, we have the possibility to on-ramp Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Pump, and Fiatcoin. For the spot assets, there of course are other spot assets on Hyperliquid. Hype itself, the token Hype itself, then we got Per and a few other smaller projects. And if you don't have like one of the 5, the beauty of Hybrid is that you can swap instantly. Like if you have some worthless Solana shitcoins lying around in your wallet, you can swap them for Hype in one go. Be aware that of course this has higher fees, and it's like everywhere in crypto. If you have more comfort, you will pay with fees. And if you have USDC, you can simply deposit that either by withdrawing from your centralized exchange like Binance or Bitcoin or whatever other exchanges you use, and withdraw it to your Hyperliquid, simply to your wallet, and then deposit it to Hyperliquid. Or you can, if you have USDC lying around on Arbitrum, you can deposit it also directly to Hyperliquid. So there are many ways, and there are now even more on ramps coming up. We've seen some work from I think Overclock was the name, where you can deposit if you have a Revolut account. So there's still happening. But yeah, regarding wallets, you can use Revi Wallet. Phantom also supports Hyperliquid. The beauty of Phantom is that they started to integrate perps directly in the mobile wallet. So you can use Hyperliquid even if you don't realize that you use Hyperliquid. And then one thing I want to mention is also Tholos, which is a custodial institutional wallet. So of course this costs some money, but if you are interested in buying more hype, like going big into this, I recommend to check like more secure wallet solutions, and Tholos is one of them. Yeah. Besides spot markets and perp trading, we can do vaults on Hyperliquid, which looks like this. We go here on vaults, and then you see the protocol vaults and the user vaults. The protocol vaults are simple. We have the Hyperliquidity provider vault, which, I mean, it's in the name, they provide liquidity. It's the community-owned vault that provides liquidity to Hyperliquid through multiple market-making strategies, performs liquidations, and accrues platform fees. So you give USDC in there, you deposit USDC into this vault, and you get USDC back. Right now, we are around 8% APR. This fluctuates a lot. In the beginning of Hyperliquid, like now 2 years ago, it was up to 100%. Like recently, I've seen maybe the highest was 60%. So this number depends a lot on how profitable the traders are on Hyperliquid. And in theory, this also could lose money. So if you deposit in an environment where this makes a ton of money, and then traders become profitable, you will lose some money for short term, but long term, this makes money. So it's the vault to provide liquidity on Hyperliquid, but also important, Hyperliquid doesn't need the HLP. That some people got that confused that, oh no, if the HLP goes down, Hyperliquid is cooked. No, this is just one of many market makers and many liquidity providers on Hyperliquid, and right now that's, I think, 2% of the total volume on Hyperliquid. So yeah, that's also interesting. And of course, you can also stake your Hype token on Hyperliquid directly. I wouldn't do that right now because there are now better ways, but yeah, it's just one thing you should know. And regarding the other vaults, there are interesting opportunities, but be aware that they are really volatile, since everybody can start his own vault and become a fund manager in this way. So if you are looking to become a portfolio manager, I would recommend, I would say that starting your own Hyperliquid vault is probably the best way to get started. It's really, really transparent. Either you perform or you don't. So if you're a good trader and you have an edge, it's really interesting, since you can also charge a performance fee. And yeah, we've seen different approaches, different vaults, different strategies. Like here with systemic strategies, they do long and short grids. We also have seen long hype and Bitcoin and short garbage, which also performed nice for some time. Now it's in the red. So this depends, this fluctuates a lot. Be aware that those vaults are way riskier than the HLP. But of course, you see here in the performance that some of them tend to outperform quite nicely. So that's enough about votes and the HyperCore. The second component to Hyperliquid for now is the HyperEVM. So HyperEVM is the Hyper Ethereum virtual machine, which enables people to build different decentralized applications. And now we are into this for about 4 months. So in the beginning, we've seen some high expectations of people that thought, oh, this will be fully functional from day one. But to be frank, like, things don't work that way. Like, think about Ethereum when DeFi started and what we have now. It took like years to get there. But yeah, we are 4 months into HyperEVM, and we've seen a lot of good stuff being built. We now are at our stage, I would say, where we got the basic building blocks. We have lending and borrowing, we have AMMs, we have like the basic infrastructure you need to have on any ecosystem. We have for lending, we have Hyperland, we have Felix, Hyperdrive, Sentiment, and a lot others. We have for AMMs, we have HyperSwap, Kitten Swap, and now Project X, which also launched recently. And we're regarding other world strategies with Hyperbit, Harmonix. There are a lot of projects happening. I can't mention everyone because like it's 200 and more builders right now on HyperEVM. To use any of those products, you simply need the Rebby wallet. If you use the Rebby wallet, the HyperEVM is supported directly, and you will also see your assets in your Rebby wallet. If you use other wallets, you can add the network with chainlist.org. It's chain number 999. Simply add this network, and then you can send Hype from HyperCore, like from here. If you go here, I don't want to connect my wallet for obvious reasons, but you have your balance down here with Hype, and you can simply transfer it to EVM. And then you can use the Hype on the HyperEVM and do different things with it, borrow against it, provide liquidity, whatever you want to do. Just be aware that you need Hype for the gas fees. Those gas fees get burned as well. So another nice value sink, I would say, or accrual rather for the Hype token. So the more people that use HyperEVM, the more transactions we get, the more Hype gets burned. But of course, we're going to talk about that in a second. That's regarding HyperEVM. We also, like I said, are now at the point where we got the basic infrastructure set. So now more innovation can happen. And we've seen this already. We've seen this with Risk protocol. They enable you to do covered call option strategies on newer assets. So not just on Hype, ETH, and Bitcoin, but now also on Pump and K-Hype, which is Kinetic Hype. And you can see here you can earn quite a nice APR. I'm not affiliated with them. I just met the team at ETH Milan and thought that the product that they're doing is quite nice. So I wanted to show it. And besides Risk, we also have Liminal, which allow you to do funding rates farming, which is really interesting for Hyperliquid because on some days the funding rates on Hyperliquid are quite high. So we've seen with the launch of Pump that there was like a 200% APR funding rate. So a great way to farm that was using Liminal. So you don't have to set your start shorts, open shorts yourself to farm those funding rates. But that's a great way. There's so much more to talk about, so I want to keep going. If you want to check the HyperEVM landscape, there is a nice ecosystem map by Hyper Collective Also shout out to them. They make the best events in Hyperliquid and, to be frank, in all of crypto. So I don't attend much crypto events anymore, but if there's a HyperCore event, I try to be there. Yeah, so we have the map here with the different projects, and you see, okay, DeFi, bridges, tools, infrastructure, memes, mobile apps, NFTs, AI, community tools, data analytics, GameFi, GambleFi, content creation, SocialFi, and Launchpad. So there's a lot happening, and there's still, like, just looking at this list, there's probably 20 or 30 more projects that aren't yet on this list, not because simply because there's, like, every day there are new projects coming to HyperEVM, and it's really tough to keep up and keep those kind of landscapes and ecosystem maps up to date, because there's so much happening on Hyperliquid and HyperEVM. So we talk about HyperCore and HyperEVM. Now it's time to talk about the buyback and the burn. For some reason, there is a lot of confusion, like in just my bubble, I got a lot of questions regarding the buyback and the burn. It's in itself quite easy. There's a buyback and there's a burn mechanism, but those two things are separate. So the buyback itself doesn't have much to do with the burn. Buybacks is explained quite easy. Hyperliquid makes a ton of fees. So if we take a look on here, yesterday we had like 5 million. Now today we are at 4 million. So it depends, of course, on the day, but Hyperliquid makes anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 million in fees per day, depending on how much volume the traders are doing. And 97% of those fees are used to buy back the Hyperliquid token Hype. There's one thing called assistance fund. They collect the USDC and use the USDC, the fees, to buy Hype. And they do this simply by putting on spot orders, spot limit orders. You can also follow that. I can show you the tool in a second. But that's the buyback mechanism. So there are some people that say, oh, it's only 97%. What about the other 3%? The other 3%, some of it goes to HLP and some of it goes to an insurance fund. So the team makes nothing out of this. So another great thing to note is that I don't know any like project founder, if in crypto or outside of crypto, that make like 5 million per day, and they use all that money to strengthen their own token. But of course, they benefit from strengthening their own token, otherwise they won't do it. But there's also like the alignment, the incentives are aligned, because there is an equity, there is like a Hyperliquid group foundation, so to say, but this is a Cayman institution. They don't like the equity itself doesn't have any value. All the value lies in the token, and they use all the money they make to buy back their own token to strengthen the token. So yeah, really interesting. Let's talk about the burn. The burn mechanism consists of three stages, basically. First stage is the Hype USDC spot piece. So every time somebody buys Hype with USDC as spot, so not doing perp trades, but using here the spot market and buying Hype, I pay a fee, and those fees are burned. Number one. Depending on the day, we have around 150 to 300 million in the volume. The more volume we get, the more Hype is burned. Highest day was, of course, the first day of TGE, where I think 33K Hype got burned. Today, like in the last few weeks, the average day was around 1 to 1.5K Hype being burned just from this one, like the one spot market. The second stage to the Hype burn is the gas fees. The gas fees on HyperEVM. And again, some people thought that this is not big enough or not aggressive enough, you have to be aware that this is just picking up. Like we've seen now in the last few days, we are up to around 500-600 hype being burned per day, just from gas fees. So the more transactions happen on HyperEVM, of course, the more gas fees get burned. So this in itself is just picking up because HyperEVM is quite new. We have around 20k daily active users on HyperEVM. I will show you the data also. But so be aware that in a few weeks from now, I'm positive that just the gas fees being burned from HyperEVM will be a lot higher than it is today. And the third part to the burn is the ticker auctions. So if you want to launch your own spot market on Hyperliquid, so if you say, okay, I want to have something like Yan, RAP, Vegas, Genesee, all of those, you can do that. You just have to acquire a ticker to do that. And right now, those run for about, you can see here, last ticker auctions have been 847 hype, 858 hype. So yeah, you will pay for that, and it's now around. It's always a Dutch auction, a Dutch auction that goes down, and it starts with double from last day's auction. So this starts with like 1,600, 1,700 hype, and it runs down until someone bids the ticker. There have been days where like nobody bids for the ticker, then there are no ticker gets acquired. Simple like that. Nothing happens. But now in the last few days, those picked up again. And yeah, the hype that is spent on those tickers is burned as well. So you can add another like 800 hype to the daily burn. And so on, like if you add up about like 1.5k from the spot burn, let's say 500 from the EVM burn, and again 800 from the ticker burn, you are around like we're getting to close to 3k hype being burned per day, which is not much now because total supply at TGE was 1 billion hype, but it is important to have this kind of burn mechanism. So that about the burn itself and the buyback. But there's one more thing. We can watch these kind of numbers live. This is really, really interesting because for once you can see the buybacks on ASXN. I can show you here. Looks like that. And here we have the data around the last few days. You can see here hype buybacks, past 24 hours, 4.94 million in buybacks, which accounts to 108k hype. So we are talking about that the assistance fund right now is buying back 0.1% of total supply per day, which is quite impressive. We never know how long this will go on. So it depends, of course, on how the markets evolve, on how active traders are. But you can see here, last 4 days, always here, 4.7 million, 4.5, 4.8, 4.9 million. So it seems like 4 million buyback per day is the new low number, while I can show you on all data, we had like the first 6 months, more or less, from Hyperliquid have been around 1 million, 2 million hype max buyback per day. So this is quite taking off. Why is this taking off? Because of distribution. Hyperliquid itself is growing a lot, but the big unlock for Hyperliquid is builder codes. And we have seen this integration with Phantom being the biggest wallet out there with 70 million users. And they just started to integrate Hyperliquid as a perp. Like you can trade perps directly on Phantom. And this onboards a ton of users, which of course benefits Hype. And the more volume is done on Hyperliquid, the more buybacks we get, because again, 97% of all fees get used to buy back the token. I can't stress this enough. There's no other project doing this on this scale. and also with this level of transparency, because you can check the direct assistance fund wallet here. It's called Xerex Pepe. Why it's called like that? Because the founder is called Jeff. So yeah, it's funny. But you can see here the holdings of the assistance fund. Right now it's $1.19 billion in Hype. And they are quite in the profits because their average entry price is $16.44. So you can see here they're up $750 million on their own Hype position, which is insane. They just buy 24/7. You can see here the transactions, them bidding different amounts, of course. They always like run up the USDC and then bid on Hype, do spot limit orders. So normally it's around like 10k USDC until they bid again, and then like the USDC runs up again. But this fluctuates, and to be frank, it doesn't matter. Like if they let it run up to 100k and bid Hype then, or they'll do it all 10k USDC, they buy 24/7. There's no other project doing this at this scale. So yeah, and with this transparency, so yeah, all you need to know. You can check this kind of data also with Hype Burn. I love this tool. It's done by Jan Klimo, a great builder on Hyperliquid. Big shout out to him. I love this tool. Check it basically every day. And you can see here, not just the Hype Burn, where you see, okay, total supply, we are down to 999,600,000 Hype. So we are at around 395k Hype burned. And you can also see here, total burned 395k. But now we see out of this 395k, roughly 330k burned was from the core, like from Hype USDC spot market. And now 65k is burned from EVM, and this number is just picking up. You can see the assistance fund holds now 26 million in Hype. And yeah, you can see here all the different data. This tool is awesome. You can also see other stuff like leaderboard, but who is buying, who is selling, and we have all the data we need. We can see the builder data, what amount of money the builders are making, how many builders are on Hyperliquid, how long would it take for the assistance funds to buy back all the ready for sale supply, which is basically circulating supply minus assistance fund and minus the staked circulating supply. So there's only 184 million Hype left. This seems like a big number, but it really isn't. We'll talk about this at the end when we talk about the public vehicles. But yeah, that's about the buyback and the burn. But there's even one more thing, and it's that now we see also teams on Hyperliquid starting their own buyback mechanisms, their own assistance funds. So we've seen this from Unit. I can show you here that you already know Unit is not run by HyperCore, and when they launched, they got a lot of hate or criticism for accruing fees instead of the fees going to Hyperliquid or the assistance fund, which in itself doesn't make sense. Please, if you don't build anything, don't hate on anyone who builds anything, because why would HyperUnit do all the work and build a great product we love and need and not take the fees for it? Like that doesn't make any sense. So, but the beauty of it, they made a lot of fees, and after months of accruing fees, Unit has turned on a buy TWAP on Hype, funded by selling the spot Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol they made. So they, for the longest time, the 4 assets they supported was the 3 assets they had was Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. And they made, like you see here in the screenshot, they made like 0.7 Bitcoin in fees, 8 in ETH, and 300 Sol in fees. And they basically TWAPed out of those positions and started to buy Hype. And they kept on doing that. So since then, they also launched a Fartcoin market and also Pump, and made a ton of money from those markets. And yeah, they also will sell off the fees they make from that and use it to buy even more hype. So Unit is the probably biggest project to do that in on Hyperliquid right now. But we also have seen this from Hyperdrive and from D2 Finance, which both are DeFi projects on HyperEVM. And it makes a lot of sense for DeFi projects on HyperEVM to do this. Why? Because if you make a ton of fees and you use it to buy more hype, you can deepen your liquidity, like Hyperdrive is doing with the Hyperdrive Assistance Fund. And basically, the better your liquidity is, it makes your product better and will lead to more growth. So this is really, really nice to see, and again shows the ethos of Hyperliquid. We have a really, really strong founder, probably outlier in crypto. And this quality of having a strong founder and a team with a clear vision, giving builders the tools they need to build, attracts a lot of other capable founders. So for now, most projects I've seen on Hyperliquid, on HyperEVM, are really, really good. Like the UI, the UX, their vision, their their time horizon. Like very, very few people are here to make a quick buck. Because those who try to make a quick buck, they don't go very far. So Hyperliquid in itself and also HyperEVM, I would say, is a really high quality ecosystem, and which is also good for the user because it's less risky. Like being rugged on HyperEVM, I wouldn't say it's impossible, because there have been some events of shady stuff happening. But if you take the time to check the product and maybe also ask around, the community is quite helpful. The risk of being rugged on HyperEVM, I would say, is way less and way smaller than compared to other ecosystems like Solana or Base or anything else. So yeah, that about the buyback by the teams. Let's keep going with the tools. I use a lot of tools, and unfortunately I can't show you all the tools of today because I want to keep this rather short, but still give you a lot of info. So there has been a lot of tools coming up, and a lot of them try or do a lot of similar things. So you will end up using probably just one of them. But yeah, regarding the explorers, we have Hyperscan.io, which is this one. You can check relevant data on here by looking for different wallets. You can check, of course, the dashboard, see active TWAPs, see the transfers, see which tokens will launch on spot Hyperliquid one day, latest deploys and stuff like that. And also staking data from different validators, stats, and a lot more. So big fan of Hyperscan. It's like HyperScan, because Per is the cat on Hyperliquid. It's the official mascot. It's also why I got this like small kitty on here. So that's that. And then we also got another explorer. We have hyperscan.com. I like them because you can check the EVM data on there. It looks like this. And you can see that we are up now to 336k number of total accounts. We got like 17 or 18k active accounts, adding around 2k accounts per day, of course, depending on a day. And average transaction fee for a transaction on HyperEVM is 0.001 Hype. So if Hype is at $44, this is like below 4 cents, like really, really cheap. Of course, this also depends on your gas fee settings. You can improve that as well if you choose to go with slow blocks. There are 2 types of blocks you can use, but yeah, that's too much for this video. Yeah, we see also here transaction fees. Like I said, we are around 600 to 700 hype per day right now. This has been shooting up in the past. We've seen days with a 1.4k hype being used as transaction gas fee, and all of that, of course, is burned. This 7th of July was the day when Bolt Brothers NFT collection launched on HyperEVM, and this was a lot of FOMO around that, and so people wanted to mint this and paid a lot of gas to mint those NFTs. And we will see some more of this like FOMO events, which is of course good for hype because it leads to more hype being burned. Yeah, transaction success rate you can see here is like 0.85. So most transactions on Hyper EVM go through. And yeah, you can see here also new blocks being added. Transactions, we got around 400k transactions per day for now on HyperEVM. So the overall the ecosystem is picking up. You can also check here token data with most holders. Yeah, we got this. And the third explorer I want to mention is HyperEVM Scan.io. This is interesting because it's run by the EtherScan team. And as far as I know, HyperEVM was the first ecosystem where they built an explorer for without getting paid. Because Hyperliquid, the Hyper Foundation, they don't pay. They enable you to earn fees from day one with builder codes, which we'll check in a second. But it's not like the average project with having a foundation with grants and then you get the grant to do anything. No. If you want to build it. And you will get rewarded. But don't wait for anyone to hand out money so you build something. It won't happen on HyperEVM. Yeah, regarding the data, you can check hypeburn.fun. I just showed you that before. And then we also, for traders, quite interesting, since Hyperliquid is fully on chain, you can check all trades from all the wallets, and there are different tools to do that. HyperDash is one of them. It looks like this. And the beauty of it is that you can track different wallets, see what they are doing, see like here hot traders, P&L, leverage, their history. You can check the whole profile. And for example, if I go here and say advanced, you can see what is this account doing. Total P&L is like negative $10 million. So what's going on here? And you can see here, he is quite successful with Pepe. For some reason, he burns a lot of money with Bitcoin. So you can check all the different traders on here. We also got a nice feature with the terminal where you can check a live heat map data for all assets on Hyperliquid and see where the next liquidity lies, which of course is a useful tool if you are into trading. And also this is real data. This is not just some projection of any like tool. This is real data from all the orders on Hyperliquid, and you can use it to make better trading decisions. And of course, like can check here and all the other assets you want and see where the liquidity lies. Also see the total liquidation value and a lot of other interesting stuff you can use for your decisions. Besides HyperDash, there is also a nice tool from the team of coinmarketman.com. On here, you get a similar feature like HyperDash because those tools, they most of them use the same data. The big difference is just in how they show the data to you. So HyperTracker, what they did is quite nice. They basically categorized the different wallets on Hyperliquid, different traders. You can see tracking all 743K Hyperliquid wallets in real time. We got 120K active perp traders. So now we also know out of 700 total users, like 122K are active and account for the 20 billion volume we've seen before. And right now, like 5,000 are added last 24 hours. Nice to see, but the cool feature on HyperTracker is that you got these different categories and you can check like, okay, what are the shrimps doing? What are the whales doing? What is smart money doing? Who is printing money? Like who is really profitable trading? Super nice to see. And we also got a lot of other interesting data on HyperTracker. Also a different position heat map where you can see how the different wallet categories are positioning. Like you see Bitcoin, the Leviathan, like the giga big wallets, they are slightly bearish, but you see like whales, small whales, dolphins are also rather bullish. Really cool to find new opportunities. And also what they did just 1 day ago is this nice builder tracker where you can see all the builders on Hyperliquid that use builder codes to integrate perps or spot markets. And you can see on here how much money they make. And you can see here this nice race to 100K revenue in 24 hours. Phantom is leading right now with 74.5K. Then we got In Silico with roughly 20K. People with 8.91K, Axiom with 8K. So a really nice tool to track this kind of data. Hyper does something similar yet different. Like here we got also number of builders with 177 and revenue they make from referral fees and builder codes. And yeah, so there are different tools to look at the data. I just wanted to show you that yeah, you can use whatever you want. I like the way that the HyperTracker team just shipped this builder tracker. So other tools I like, of course, for looking at the competition, you can check hypeflows.com where we see the volume and also open interest compared to Binance, Bybit, and OKX. And it's quite telling to see that the market share of Hyperliquid has been going up compared to Binance, Bybit, and OKX. It doesn't matter what those centralized exchanges try to pull off, like if they try to crash the HLB with the Jelly attack, if they try to launch competitors, Hyperliquid simply wins at the end. Why is that? For a starter, it's a better product. And now with Phantom, we also got the distribution. One thing I want to show you that it's also important not just to look at volume, because volume is faked quite easily. You can do a lot of wash volume. It's not that hard. What's harder to fake is open interest. And you can see on the open interest number that Hyperliquid is quite competitive. You can see here, compared to OKX, Hyperliquid already does 50% of the open interest of OKX, 32% of Bybit, and 23% of Binance. And there have been like instances on newer markets where Hyperliquid is clearly regarding our open interest. You can check this on here. If you go on ASX and data and check for funding, I think it was on here. No, that's the auction data. Here, funding rate. So here you got the funding rates on the different assets. And there was also a way to check the open interest on assets compared to other exchanges. Maybe it's on here, but yeah, it doesn't matter. We've seen, like with the launch of Pump, that we had like Hyperliquid had triple the open interest compared to I think Bybit and other centralized entities. So yeah, the best place to launch your token is Hyperliquid, and it will just evolve and become even better. So that's about the tools. You can also check the direct stats around Hyperliquid on stats.hyperliquid.xyz. And let's talk about the builder codes. I've now showed you some data, but you might ask yourself, okay, builder codes, what does this even mean? It's quite easy. And builder codes enable you to tap into the Hyperliquid billions of liquidity. So you have this exchange that got all the liquidity in the world and really, really pristine flows, and they allow you to tap into that. This is unheard of. Like there are many whitelist exchanges in Europe, in Asia, that have this whitelist solution, also OTC desks that just basically they tap onto the order book of Binance, and Binance charges a ton for that and still does a poor job. Hyperliquid is just different. You can tap into the deep liquidity of Hyperliquid. You don't pay for that. You even get to get money for that on top. You are allowed to charge up to 1% on top on spot assets and up to 0.1% on perps. So if you integrate, like example Phantom, what they did, they integrated Hyperliquid perps in their mobile wallet, and they decided to only charge on top 0.05%, so that don't even maxed out the fees they could charge. And this leads to trading perps on Phantom in the Phantom wallet being one of the cheapest ways to trade perps, because Hyperliquid itself, the fees are also quite competitive. You can check on the Hyperliquid docs. You can see here what you pay for perps. Now, of course, depending on the volume and, of course, if you're a taker or a maker. But you can see here the different volume stages also for spot. And yeah, this is quite interesting to see. And also what's coming in the future. If you stake Hype, you will get fee rebates, which also is interesting for not just you as a user, but also companies like Phantom. They now onboarded about 10k users to Hyperliquid and already made 400k in referral fees from that. And they could use those referral fees to buy some Hype, to stake it, and give you even cheaper fees, which would be really good incentive to even onboard more users to Hyperliquid, and to say, hey, use Phantom to trade on Hyperliquid, use Phantom perps because we have Diamond, we are Diamond staking tier, and so we can give you 40% trading fee discount, which is quite the incentive. So builder codes allow you to charge 1% on top on spot, on 0.1 on top on perps, and are really easy to implement. So if you are able to launch a Shopify shop and do an online shop with Shopify, you are able to use builder codes on Hyperliquid. This is not my take. This is a take by the great Omnia, the founder of Kinetic. Big shout out to him. I heard this on the 0x Research podcast and liked this a lot. So if you're able to use Shopify, you can use builder codes. It's been a big success so far. We have seen Phantom integration, PvP, pair, other projects using builder codes to do their product on top of Hyperliquid, use the liquidity and make a good amount of money. Phantom launched like now 10 days ago already, like I mentioned, onboarded 10k users and made like 400k in referral fees, plus also builder code fees on top. So there's like a lot happening. You can check, of course, the data I just show you on HyperBurn/builders or on the Hyper Tracker, and you can check the Phantom referral wallet to see how much money they're making. And yeah, you can see here we have 5,000 traders referred. This number is outdated. We are now up to like 10, 11k, but the API cap of Hyperliquid is 5,000 referral fees, 5,000 referred traders, because the normal like affiliate doesn't refer 5,000 people. It's so they kept that at some point, the number, not like how much you can refer, but the number it shows on here. And they already earned 472k in rewards. They have not claimed that yet, so it will be interesting to see when they claim it and what they do with it. I mean, 500k for a company like a Phantom is like not much money, but still interesting to see if they will use it to buy some hype. So before the Phantom integration, we had the like announcement from Robinhood that they will do perps, and some people said, okay, this will be a big issue for Hyperliquid because Robinhood has this big distributional advantage, which in itself is true. But then Phantom came around with 17 million users and just integrated Hyperliquid perps. So Robinhood might still have more use than Phantom, but the Phantom integration of Hyperliquid was a big distributional push, and I'm positive that we will see other big players with a lot of users to also integrate Hyperliquid, because it's the easiest way for them to make money, basically. So you tap into a lot of liquidity. You don't need to develop a product. You integrate an existing product and you get a lot of money for it. And the important thing, your users have a great experience. So all this would not work if Hyperliquid was not the best decentralized perp exchange out there. Like Phantom looked at all the other stuff. They looked at DYDX. They looked at GMX. But none of those had like the features to really make it work for the users of Phantom. And none of those back then is like a month ago, the stuff like builder codes. So they are now rolling out features to other products can use their like platform and earn money. But Hyperliquid had this out of the gate, like the first like maybe not directly out of the gate, but it was really early when they had the builder codes to enable other builders, because this again shows they know what to focus at. They know to make the product as great as possible and make it as easy as possible to for others to build on that product, make it easy to integrate, make it easy to monetize, also a big issue, because now we're gonna be at a really interesting place. If you want to build, do it on HyperEVM. For what reasons? Basically what I just talking about the last hour. It's the best place because you have a lot of users, or maybe not a lot of users, but the users you have, they have a lot of money. So it's easier for you to get a lot of TVL and get a lot of traction fast. We've seen this with Hyperland, with others that got like $400-500 million in TVL in like no time, maybe a few months. Look at other ecosystems, at other lending markets, other platforms. They've been on it like 4 years and have not achieved those kind of numbers. Why? Because the average base user, the average Solana user, it just has less money in the wallet compared to Hyperliquid. Also has a lot to do with the big Hyperliquid airdrop, of course. But people that got the airdrop, they tend to use that hype to support the ecosystem, to use different new products, to experiment with it. So yeah, if you want to build, do it on Hyperliquid and do it on HyperEVM. And if you need funding, there are a lot of ways, but I want to stress this a lot. Really think about if you actually need funding, because if you use builder codes, you can like make money from the first day you're alive. And so there's not that big reason to raise a ton of money at the beginning. You can just launch a product, see where it goes. Of course, I understand if you need some funding for development. If you need that, there are a lot of Hyperliquid angels that are happy to support. Feel free to DM. Maybe I can connect you to some funds or angels, or even help myself. There's a lot of more funds coming up looking at this. Paradigm, other big VC funds, but also angels. We have Hyperactive, the fund by Laurent and Max Biege. They are also quite active in the space. So there are ways for you to raise money if you need it. But I would really, make a lot of emphasis on thinking about it in the first place if you actually need funding. So if there are other allocators, feel free to comment below. I know that there are a lot of people in the Hyper Eco that are happy to support builders, but many of them are not that public. But just also again to remember and to repeat, don't raise if you don't want to build something useful, because the bullshit detector on HyperEVM, on Hyperliquid projects is really, really high. You won't get far for like trying to raise some money for any There's also the first hackathon coming up, run by the community, which is super, super cool. There is no grant or anything. I think the core team, they are happy to see that the community is doing stuff like this, but they don't care. Not that they don't care, but they are not involved. So it's just a community effort. You can win up to 160K in prizes. The deadline or the registration opens on 28th of July. So you have a few days left to prepare for your application. It's a 4-week global online event for Build the Future of Finance. So it will be super, super interesting to see what comes out of this. And I would be willing to bet that we will see more innovation happening in those 4 weeks on Hyperliquid than happened on many other ecosystems in the last 4 years. Because the ethos, the community, the spirit, it's there, the energy is there, and you can feel it. I don't do this kind of videos on other ecosystems, and I'm also not paid for it. I do this because I want to support Hyperliquid. So first hackathon coming up, sponsored by all the cool projects on Hyperliquid. So yeah, feel free to, if you want to build, you can like apply for the hackathon and maybe win some prizes. So let's keep going with the next topic, and that's CoreWriter. CoreWriter was a big unlock for a new innovation coming to Hyperliquid. It sounds complicated, but it really isn't. Before the CoreWriter, you have HyperCore and the HyperEVM, and those two are separated and they don't are able to interoperate. Now, after the CoreWriter upgrade, we have HyperCore and HyperEVM that can interact with each other, and this unlocks a lot of new innovation, especially for DeFi projects that need a lot of liquidity. Because now, thanks to the CoreWriter, you can tap into the liquidity on HyperCore, which was important. For example, Kinetic. Kinetic is now the biggest liquid staking solution on Hyperliquid. They just went live on 15th of July, so it's 4 days old. Already here is at 497, so close to 500 million in TVL with 5K holders. What does Kinetic do? They allow you to get basically an LST for your hype. So you put in hype and get K hype, and they stake the hype for you. But they have like the beauty that they do this with the validator scoring to minimize the risk to get slashed. So it's safer in many ways to do it this way, to stake with them, than to pick your validators directly on the on HyperCore, because they score the different validators, and you can see always like which of those validators is in the active set, and this is changing based on the score. So if, for example, here the USDT 0x Luganodes validator, if they get a bit higher score, they will rank up and get into the active set. Yeah, Kinetic, really great product. Also, again, shout out to Omnia and team for building this. You can earn some K points with that for the next airdrop that there will be probably, and you can use the K hype in HyperEVM on different strategies. You can either use their Kinetic Earn platform to make like 6% APY, but you can also use the K hype on any other protocol and lend against it, borrow against it, do different liquidity strategies. So yeah, we needed core writers so they can tap into the core writer, not the core writer, the HyperCore liquidity and stake directly on there. So that was one big unlock. The other big interesting part here is risk. And as I mentioned before, risk allows you to do covered calls on new assets, and options are a big financial instrument, but they all had the same issue in the past, that the liquidity was simply not there, so they didn't really work. And now, thanks to the core writer upgrade, Risk can tap into the deep liquidity of Hyperliquid, of HyperCore, and make all kinds of new options products and make them work. Yeah, HyperCore uses HyperEVM liquidity as well, so it will be interesting to not just have the HyperEVM products tap into HyperCore liquidity, but also to see that HyperCore tap into the HyperEVM liquidity, which will be interesting, especially for other stable coins. So right now, USDC is still the big stable coin on Hyperliquid, but this also changes a lot. USDT 0 is the big stable coin on HyperEVM. So we probably will have some ways soon that the HyperCore taps into HyperEVM liquidity, and you will be able to swap your tokens you have directly on the HyperCore interface. So yeah, there's a lot coming up. That about core writer. The next big topic is HIP-3. I've seen a lot of people talk about that, still a lot of confusion around that. Again, it's not that complicated. You just have to take a look at the docs and take the time to read the documentation. So HIP-3 is number 3 after HIP-1 and HIP-2. Surprise, surprise. HIP-2 was what allows you to buy the spot tickers and launch your spot market. So like I showed you here, you go on here and you buy your spot ticker, you bid on your spot ticker, and then you can launch your spot market. This HIP-2, and it's live already. HIP-3 is the next step, and it allows you to deploy perpetual markets. So this is not live yet. There are speculations for this to go live in September, maybe end of 25. We don't know. We will see again. Jeff will do another short Discord message of, by the way, HIP-3 is live now. Looking forward to feedback, and then it will be it will be crazy. So to deploy perp markets on Hyperliquid on HL.xyz, important, this will not be, at least in the beginning, will not be at the main Hyperliquid interface. So it will not be on here with the perp markets. It will be on a separate interface, just to make sure that this launch goes smoothly and users are safe. Maybe this will change in the future. We will see. There will be a lot of other like interfaces and UIs being built around that, because again, builder codes enable this. So builder codes will keep attracting new products to maybe just build better UI. There are some people that are not happy with the Hyperliquid UI, and they now build their own version of it and just integrate Hyperliquid. And yeah, they're free to do that. So for HIP3 to launch your own perpetual markets, you need to stake 1 million hype, which is for now it's $44 million. But the incentive there is basically to also protect users, because you don't pay the hype. It's important. So some people thought, oh, I need to pay this amount of hype to launch my market. Nobody will do that. No, you simply stake it. And if you you stake it, you get to launch your perp market, you get to set the fees, the oracle, the market makers. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with that. But if you try to do some like games and shady stuff, you risk they'll get slashed. So I wrote here, get slashed if you don't behave. So yeah, that's it, because other validators get to vote if like there is an event of some market manipulation or something with an oracle, to vote that your 1 million hype or part of it gets slashed. So yeah, quite the incentive not to play games. And this is exactly what we need. We need to attract the companies that have the skill, the money, and the motivation and intent to really do good markets, to create interesting perp markets, and keep like low effort shady stuff at bay. And you achieve this by just making the level to like play the buy-in so high that for starters it will be really hard for anyone to pull some shady stuff. I assume that this number might go down in the future, because 1 million hype is a big buy-in, but also their Kinetic and other like liquid staking solutions, they help, because they enable more users to pool hype and maybe also to vote in the future if they want to give the 1 million hype to someone to create a market. If the idea is good enough, I can see this happening. And also HIP3 enables a lot of other innovation like prediction markets, pre-sales, all stuff like that, betting markets. There will be a lot happening with HIP3. And if we have learned one thing in the past, is that nobody knows what's going to happen on Hyperliquid in the future. No one of us had like the Phantom story on his bingo cards or other integrations. So I'm really bullish on HIP3. Check the documentation if you want to learn more around that. Now it's testnet only, but yeah, we will see mainnet probably in September or end of 2025. So HIP3 is a good caveat or good story, because it's the main driver behind the public vehicles. So now we have seen a bunch of companies coming up doing the MicroStrategy playbook on hype. So buying hype in their treasuries or for their treasuries. And I think on many levels, this is really interesting, because for starters, hype is the better asset compared to Bitcoin. I know some Bitcoin maxis don't want to hear this, and I also love Bitcoin, but just regarding what you can do with the asset. MicroStrategy, they buy a ton of Bitcoin and they try to get a yield on it by doing some option strategies, some borrowing and stuff like that. But they are quite limited in how much yield they can generate on their Bitcoin. With hype, if you have the 1 million hype, you can launch this per market, make all the fees, earn the staking rewards on top. So the opportunities with hype are simply bigger. So we've seen some companies coming up: Hyperion, Sonnet, HYLQ, Lion Group Holding, many others. All of them are bidding hype, and some of them performed quite nicely. So the stock of Hyped went up a lot, I think 10x at some point. But one thing I want to stress on this point is to really check how much hype those companies actually have and how much they are buying. Because if they don't have the 1 million hype you need for HIP3, it doesn't make much sense, to be honest. Like if those smaller companies buy 50k hype, 100k hype, which still is a lot of money, but it won't get you to launch the HIP3. So I would recommend to focus on the bigger companies that have more than 1 million hype. We will see in the future what they will do with it. So it is, of course, really interesting. Those public vehicles, they tend to outperform the underlying asset. So if hype goes up 2x, I assume that those kind of public vehicles go up like 5, 10, or even 20x. Why is that? Simply because of how TradFi works, how much bigger the liquidity is on there. And you have also to be aware that the average Wall Street guy, he can't buy hype even if his life depended on it. Because for starters, it's not legal, like it's not regulated to buy hype. If you have a fund, you have some mandates that you are only allowed to buy some stocks with some market cap and stuff like that. So the only way for them to get exposure to hype is via those kind of vehicles. So yeah, that's basically why I'm quite bullish on those. You just have also be aware on the risk that some of those smaller plays are not that liquid. But really interesting to see this playing out. And we will see, of course, what comes from that in a few years. If it will be a similar story like MicroStrategy or MetaPlanet, or if some of those companies will fade out. Yeah, it's rather risky, but still interesting to mention. And it's another big buy pressure coming to hype. Like we have the assistance fund, we have now companies bidding on hype, we have big funds like Galaxy and others bidding on hype, we have products and projects in the Hyperliquid ecosystem bidding hype to make their own assistance fund. We have Phantom and others integrating Hyperliquid perps, making a ton of fees, probably using those fees down the line to buy more hype. So there's a lot of buy pressure coming. So I'm really bullish, but it's also important to talk about some critics, and that's what we're going to do now. First critic and FUD, you can see here that I've heard this a lot in the beginning, was that Hyperliquid is not decentralized enough. That is true. This is true. Like in the beginning, we had like 4 or 5 validators, all of them run by Hyperliquid, by the foundation. So now we are getting more and more decentralized. We are now up to 23 out of 27 validators. I've seen on here. You also can check this on Hyperscan staking. You also can see like we have 27 validators, 23 out of 27 are active right now. And you can see, of course, their active stake, how much fees they are earning. You see the Hyper Foundation has 4 validators, and they all still have like a big chunk of the hype that is staked. But this improves every day and by everyone who decides to stake also with the smaller validators, which is important. So I would recommend to stake with some smaller validators to support them as well. So that's the first point. We get more decentralization, Kinetic plays a big part there. Also running a node got easier. Becoming a validator also gets easier. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about this. And one thing I've seen over and over again is that people are really, really vocal about decentralization, but they should be vocal about team ethics and team quality. Because if you look in the past, for now or until now, Jeff and the team, they gave us no reason not to trust in their bigger vision and them pulling this off. I would say if I have the opportunity to decide if I want to have a great founder, a great team that is at the beginning more centralized to push and gets more decentralized down the road, or a product that is super decentralized from day one but doesn't get anywhere because you have to vote for everything, I would always take number one and have the good team with a strong focus. So yeah, down the road, we will see more decentralization. Yeah, that's basically my answer to this FUD around Hyperliquid being not decentralized enough for now. Yeah, this one, unlocks coming. I don't know why people are like this, but there are some people that are fearful of the unlocks and say, oh no, they're all gonna dump on us and there's so much inflation coming up. For starters, it's not inflation. It's set from day one. It's the token design. We have 1 billion total tokens. We are now down to 999,600,000. And at the beginning, we got, I can show you here. So that's Hyper. And here we have future emissions, which is 42%. And here non-circulating supply, 24%. This is the team. That's what the team is getting, 24%. They created 40 billion in volume, most of it for other people, and they deserve to eat. I don't get this socialist mindset of I want all the airdrops in the world and get rich, but no, the team, the big unlocks, oh no, they're gonna dump. First of all, they're not gonna dump. We've seen this with others. We've seen this. CC, like the founder of Binance. He holds a ton of hype. He's the big, not hype, sorry. He's the biggest holder of BNB. Did he sell off his BNB? No. Also, other founders hold a lot of their token. So I don't see the FUD around here, the unlocks happening. And even if you look at the unlock numbers, you can see here we will have the first unlock in 132 days, and it will be 9.9 million hype, about 3% of the circulating supply, worth $450 million. And you can see here, okay, then we have 10 million every month being unlocked. But we also see these massive buybacks right now happening. Will maybe the team sell off some? Maybe. But just from the, I would say, game theory, you have a founder and a team that was rich before they started Hyperliquid. So Jeff ran one of the biggest market-making companies in crypto last cycle, made a ton of money. So why would they sell off now? Also, I don't really get the FUD on here. Could be it's a blind spot. Maybe I'm missing something. Of course, can happen, but I don't see them dumping on retail because they have the assistance fund buying all the hype. Why would you do this for a year? Yeah. So next one, what is if HLP blows up? I think that's at this point no longer a FUD, an actual FUD, because we have had this jelly instance. or event, the team reacted. They made it harder to do market manipulation, basically. And HLP just does about 2% of volume on Hyperliquid. So Hyperliquid does not need HLP to function. Of course, if HLP would blow up, it would be a big damage to their reputation and the trust in Hyperliquid. This is clear. But I don't see that the HLP fund or the HLP blowing up like happening. And there's also an insurance fund. So even if there's something that I'm confident that people get made whole. So next one, the assistance fund unwinding. This, of course, is something that we have to be aware of. You have this huge assistance fund buying up all the hype in the world, now holding 26 million hype. At some point, they have to decide what to do with this hype. They started the assistance fund to buy the hype and to secure the ecosystem and to secure the future of Hyperliquid, for starters. And also you can check on here on the also in documentation. If you go for the here on the fee side, you see that the assistance fund uses the system address to buy like the hype. And here see the assistance fund requires validator quorum to use in special situations. So the more validators we get, the more decentralized Hyperliquid gets, the harder it will be to do something with the hype that the assistance fund holds that doesn't make sense. So there will be some voting in the future on maybe incentivizing some builders or some special thing with this, with the hype they have. But I'm not that worried that they will do this 26 million hype. Like also again, you spend like 3 years, even more of your life to build the biggest product you can. And this is a bigger vision, like Jeff also mentioned, like they plan to work on this for like years down the road. It's worth billions already. You have probably billions already. Why would you kill your project by dumping it like that? Like, I mean, yeah, a Do Kwon or a Sam Bankman-Fried, they would do that, but I have no signs from Jeff or no like vibe, or like just watch the interview. There's no reason to believe that something like this could happen. Yeah. Next one. So much talking about Jeff, but what if he's gone? Yeah, this is a big, risk for every crypto project besides Bitcoin. I think there will be a time when the team decides to take a backseat, but they will make sure that the builders are capable enough and that everything is like set up in a way that Hyperliquid can keep on growing without them being so on it. But this is also like, this is maybe a discussion for like in a few years. But yeah, just to be aware of course, if Jeff would be gone, it would be a big issue. I'd like today. But I mean, this is true for every product and every project, if it's a company, a CEO or something. Next one. What about the competition? What competition? Like, we have not seen any meaningful competitors to Hyperliquid regarding perp DEX markets, but now we also see that they are dominating spot listings or new launches. We've seen with Pump, where like Hyperliquid was definitely the big winner for the Pump launch. And of course, maybe also the thing I want to end this with is you can replicate the tech. You can try at least, but you will never be able to replicate the ethos, the community, the trust, because there is no one, at least for now, there is no other founder or team that is willing to really put the user and the community first and to mean it. Like all of them say it, but nobody means it. So yeah. What is the conclusion? No one has enough hype. And yeah, let me know if you like videos like this. I love to do this on Hyperliquid stuff. Let me know your thoughts, your feedback, your questions in the comments. And I wish you a great day. And of course, stay Hyperliquid.